Greetings, fellow StarCrafters. This is PGO Minecraft.
And two-toed sloth.
Two-toed, not three-toed sloth. Don't confuse the two. They're entirely different types of animals.
They're different sloths, okay? I mean, they may just sit in a tree all day and do virtually nothing, but they're different.
Much like the Overlord.
Or Kevin
They move
here.
slowly but steadily. I am quite fast.
Yeah, right.
I can beat you in a sprint, guaranteed.
I ran cross country.
Anyway, we saw relatively similar builds from TSO-Puma given the last two games. TSO-Puma being the yellow Terran in this game, shown right here, in which he went reactor first, then got got a supply depot, then reactor, then his barracks, got a factory right away.
Just like a crap ton of Hellions.
All he would get is Hellions. In fact, that's all he got. He got one Marine and Hellions.
One Marine and Hellions. I mean, you could literally just win Hellions. And it worked. He slipped by Zerg static defenses of the spine crawler, and he basically just roasted every drone, and they had drone shish kebabs afterwards.
It was very good drone shish kebabs. I had some. They were very tasty.
Let me get some Muta wings this game.
And, no, he is not going for reactor first, so it's not going to be quite so harassment-based this time, or at least not quite as quick. And he is switching up his build just a little bit. Also, we do not see a guess from JulyZerg, so JulyZerg is in fact going for a hatch first. Very popular against Terran, and particularly on this map. Oh no, that's a drone scout, actually. Oh, but there is the one. That's the little one who's going to sacrifice himself. It may not be a scout.
Maybe he's like proxy hatching or something. You never know.
It could be a proxy hatchy. I would love to watch a proxy hatchery.
There you go.
I'm not sure where he would put it, though. He'd probably get spotted coming in here, so he'd have to, proxy hatch. He could just expand at his opponent's natural and then build spine crawlers here, then walk them forward with creep tumors.
That'd be awesome to see, actually.
Viewer challenge of the week. Proxy hatch into their opponent's natural, hope they don't spot it, and then build spine crawlers and kill them with the spine crawlers.
There have been some interesting matches where that's actually almost happened.
I did have someone do it to me.
I think Spinishiwa I've seen use something similar in one of the latest.
Oh yeah. Well, Spinishiwa, what he likes to do is he gets over, when a Protoss player is. What?
Never mind.
He was making me some obscene gestures.
I was just trying to point out that he should probably, be controlling instead of just watching one barracks that's not doing anything while he's talking.
I'm sorry, we'll try to find something more interesting.
But the multitasking of PGO Minecraft can be
much like the CPU of my processor.
About as fast as
the CPU of my processor.
The CPU of your processor. I was gonna say as me, two-toed sloth being in the tree doing nothing.
Oh, or as slow as an Overlord without speed upgrade.
But your processor's pretty freaking slow. I think that might even be slower than me.
I think this is the slowest processor in the world. Look at this SUV in slow motion. Gaze at his beauty. Oh, and it ended right away. Okay, sorry for that little bit of lag. My processor goes up and down. I have no idea why. There's no rhyme or reason for it. But what were we talking about? Oh, Spinishiwa. Spinishiwa likes to. We can go ahead and watch this. We'll follow this Marine as I'm talking, going up and down on this patrol
path. Probably should be download those videos while we're doing this, Kevin.
But anyway, you should be what?
Nothing.
So what he likes to do is get an Overlord, poops creep down, and then he builds spine crawlers in front of it and uses the spine crawlers to take out the Nexus when a Protoss player is fast expanding.
Did you just say poop?
Yeah, that's what they do.
Okay.
They poop creep.
Wow.
Maybe you'll see it later. That's what they do.
I know. There's a really call. They literally poop. They really do.
People say that it's puking, but it's not coming out of his mouth.
Okay,
that's all I'm saying.
No. The whole the inject larva's puke, right? So they either puke or they. It's what the heck?
But anyway, he pukes larva. He gets creep tumors. He knows his opponent doesn't have that many forces because it's so early and they forge fast expanded, so they got to forge first. And so that's what Spinishiwa does with his attack. Meanwhile, we can talk about Pumas. Puma went for a super fast command center.
He's going. Is it? What is he doing? Is he even? He doesn't have a factory on the way.
Yeah,
that is
right
a factory.
There.
Sorry,
that is a factory being built on the tech lab, and so he's. I would say he's getting a second factory as well. So he's going for mech play. I would say Blue Flame Hellions, given the previous experience we've had. I would not say siege tanks because you need significant mech forces to back up the siege tank.
And the fact that he forgot to get siege mode last game in the first game
spooked him away. The lack of siege mode spooked him away. He's like, I don't want to forget it. At least Hellions are useful if I forget to get Blue Flame. It looks like we have a Reaper too. Reaper hasn't gotten any kills. I think he's gotten a decent amount of scouting down there.
I really like the Reaper builds all the time. Usually you can make a little more use out of them, but they're so good for scouting. You can usually get a couple drone kills off of them too. And they're so pesky to deal with.
They're a little pesky. They usually get a good amount of scouting. One thing I will say is that people often go for worker kills a little too much with Reapers. I think that they should focus a little bit more on scouting and a little bit less on killing workers. But, sometimes, if you get 2 worker kills, that can be pretty close to being worth it. They're the same in total resource cost, except, of course, the Reapers cost gas, which is more valuable. We see a little Zergling here. He was able to survive running away from the Reaper, I'm sure.
Not if you go only Hellions.
As we're about to discover from TSLPuma here, who is in fact going for Blue Flame Hellions as Reaper predicted. And he's got, is that a reactor?
Yes. On the way and 1 Marine on the way. So we will see 2 Marines this time at least. 2
Marines and a Reaper, at least
and
as his only forces.
Sorry.
Unfortunately,
yes,
ST July, having just learned from his loss, has decided to get Roaches. Very smart move on his part. Roaches, of course, are incredibly effective against Hellions because Hellions do 7 damage a shot and Roaches have 145 life.
So
the chance of a Hellion taking down a Reaper... A Reaper.
I mean, unless you attack
taking a Roach. You know? Roach is very low.
And into the main, he slips by again.
And I don't think he's got 2 kills right here. I believe both of those are worker kills, but that's not. Ooh, and the Blue Flame just finishes.
Gosh,
what is that?
Good
5
timing.
or 6 more worker kills. Great timing for the Blue Flame Hellions. I'm not sure why he didn't push out.
Just when they finished. Yeah, after they finished.
He probably should have waited just a little bit. Of course, he would have had to deal with more Roaches. He probably was trying to beat the Roaches out. He probably spotted the... nice more work on the Blue Flame Hellion.
I'm not sure why it was targeting down the...
And it looks like the Roaches decided to ignore it, and they're taking out other ones that were coming from the front. Let's go to total worker kills.
The hero queens of July took care of it.
We'll leave the queens to do it with their little tentacles.
Was that 17 workers lost?
17 workers lost.
Oh,
it's a lot of workers.
It is a lot.
Now, I believe they'll be relatively close. Yep, relatively close in worker count. However, same number of bases, and Terran have mules. But if you just saw that, 12 new drones coming up. That shows you how good of a macro player ST JulyZerg is.
You just learned right there, just cut off that last blue flame at the top left of that map. Said, no, you're not getting into my base.
Taught him a lesson.
Go home, Hellions.
Also, we see a hatchery here. It's placed like thus. I believe it's designed to block. I can't quite tell if it's blocking. Oh, no, it's not blocking.
Oh, wow.
But if you put a Roach there, you can fully block it. So I guess he doesn't want to hamper the movement of units in and out. I would have put it right on the edge. It also helps with gas production just a little bit by putting it right there, though.
Gas production and macro hatch.
Hellion sneaking around the back here. Even more harassment. That Roach is going to spot it, though. But the Hellions are going to get some shots off. They've got 1 worker kill, 3 more worker kills. What was that? 3 total, 4, 5, 6. Looks like 6 worker kills, and he's going to get into the main base. There's a bunch of Roaches.
Those Roaches are going to intersect.
They're going to take one out, and looks like he's probably not going to get a kill.
One shot.
He did get a couple shots off, hurt some guys, hurt some drones, did a little bit of damage, but I believe the damage has already been done here. 25 worker kills, very impressive from TSLPuma. However, you actually see that July is ahead on supply. Part of that is because July is going for the relatively cheap Roaches in terms of how much they're relatively cheap in terms of how much their supply costs.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, we can take a gander at what
he remembered to get siege mode this time. All right.
Already a win for TSLPuma.
And he's getting his defenses ready for those mutas, for burrowed Roaches. He's ready. He's also up in even with that bunker right here.
So I thought he was going to transition into straight up mech play. It looks like he isn't going to in fact get bunkers.
He's getting Marauders and Marauders slow on the way. Right. So he's ready to gear up for those Roaches.
Yep, he wants to deal with those Roaches, make sure he does a good job against those. Marauders actually tend to be not terribly effective against Zerg, except of course against Roaches. But he knows his opponent has a lot of Roaches because his opponent just lost to a huge supply of actually they weren't Blue Flame Hellions, they were just regular Hellions, but so he knows that JulyZerg's probably a little spooked from that, oversupplying with Roaches. He saw all the Roaches, so that's why he's going to go ahead and get a bunch of Marauders to deal with those.
Has he spotted this, has Puma spotted this 3rd base yet?
I don't believe so. He has not spotted the 3rd base. Meanwhile, those Hellions wish that they didn't move in, and they're going to go ahead and back out there. Meanwhile, you see that TSLPuma has decided to get wall off the side of his base. Very smart decision. Stops any sort of Zergling run-bys. And looks like these Hellions are going to be able to spot the hatchery. Yes, they do, in fact, spot the hatchery. Nice move on the part of TSLPuma, so he knows exactly when the Zerg is getting his 3rd base. And that's normally in a situation like this, when you want to try to punish the Zerg, that's when you're going to want to do it, is when they're taking the 3rd hatchery and he's going to get a bunch of workers in. And then you can fry those workers. And actually, Hellions are pretty effective. They can fry the workers from the top pretty well.
Oh, he's going to move in right over there, try to snipe out some of these drones. Oh, he's going to get some.
What is that, 5 worker kills. Wow, so he's up to 30 now? Yeah, 30 worker kills. Gosh. Very impressive.
Such good harass, but he's still allowing him to move in. I don't know if, Oh, here comes the arm. I was going to say, I wonder when he's going to transition for a push out on this, because he can harass for so long, but still allowing July to be in the game.
Now, Probably the purpose of this push out is going to be to take out the third base. That's traditionally what it is. Oh, nope. Is he just going to... He might actually just be moving out to secure his own gold.
I think he's going to move up and harass on the top corner. So he's going to continue to harass while trying to establish his own third at the gold.
And Terran third at the gold is incredibly effective. First of all, because Terran is one of the better races at utilizing minerals. And secondly, because they can drop mules on the gold base and probably wants to keep running with those Hellions.
Yes.
Oh, looks like they're going to get in, actually.
Oh my gosh.
Deal some more damage to drones.
That spine
Killed at least 6 so far. 8.
Oh, wow.
Is that really up to 38 now? 39 kills.
He might even get a couple more right here if he targets it right.
That's one more.
He's gonna miss it. Oh.
He did get one more, though. So that's up to, was it 40 kills?
It'd be 40.
40 worker kills, and going to get a planetary fortress here. I can tell you that when there's a planetary fortress sitting there, the Zerg player is just not going to be able to bust it.
No, unless you get mutas on there and completely distract the Terran army, it's going to be very, very, very difficult.
Or you right-click with a bunch of banelings, but of course the way to stop that is siege tanks. And looks like those roaches are on hold. Probably shouldn't be on hold position, as they do have a shorter range than the Marines that were attacking them. Oh, looks like he's getting a sensor tower here, so he's setting up for the long haul. He's going to be able to drop a lot of mules on this gold, get a lot of resources, be able to utilize those resources very well, and getting a lot of forces out. He's got a lot of production buildings.
Yes.
And Two-Toed Sloth agrees. That's a win.
Just yes. Oh.
Looks like those little SCVs are going to get taken out. Poor guys, never even really had a chance.
He's forced to spread out here. He really has map control, which is so hard to do sometimes against Zerg, you know. Has really established a presence on the map, and Puma's doing an excellent job of maintaining scouting information and just general map presence.
Now we do see another little group of roaches probably going to slide around the sensor tower, or possibly just checking for a third expansion, or even for those Marines that are just sitting there up there. But the Marines were able to get away, and probably they're going to move in to try to take out some workers at ST July's third. Looks like those Marines, the roaches are just going to skedaddle away now. Now, if you look at the supply counts, the supply counts are relatively similar. However, JulyZerg's composition is much better than TSL Puma's is much better than JulyZerg's. Entirely switch those around.
He just has basically roaches and queens right now. There's nothing else really coming out.
Yeah, if we go to the unit count, he does have 63 banelings though. Incredibly effective. However, it's also important to recognize that despite the fact that he has so many banelings, those are actually not effective at all. I mean, like what the count?
Really?
What is they're not effective at all against the unit composition of TSL Puma. You have to let me finish my points, Two-Toed Sloth. The unit composition being, of course, massive amounts of siege tanks. Because what are the counter to banelings? Siege tanks. Quite effective.
He doesn't really have a great spread right here. I think he needs to...
Oh, it looks like he's going to be moving in with just the roaches. The roaches should actually back out here. There's going to be a lot of damage. But look at all the banelings moving in. Those are going to take a lot of damage from the siege tanks. We're just going to blast apart all of them. Look at the way that those things just melt under the siege tank fire. And looks like I think JulyZerg's going to have to...
That's going to be it right there. 84 supply left. That's it. I don't know why he engaged that right there. I think he thought that he was economically behind and that he had to get out. I think he was hoping that TSL Puma would not have... How many tanks does he have? I mean, this isn't even how many he had at the time, right? This is 9 tanks. He had like 15 tanks at the time. 10 on, yeah, he has a lot on the way, but still, I mean, Puma was still playing kind of a conservative game. I'm kind of surprised that July didn't tech switch out of it. I think just the Hellion harass again.
Yeah, absolutely, certainly.
Really threw him off his game.
Yeah, absolutely. And he just went for a huge bailing bust and wanted to see if he could just, right-click on that planetary fortress, take it out, and try to even up the game that way. It wasn't effective. Certainly, he should have been spending that gas on hive tech and going straight for broodlords, because that's how you deal with siege tanks. Is broodlords very effective in that regard? Then the Terran has to get Vikings, and then it's kind of a battle over that. But he made the wrong decision. He tried to move in, decided it was time to kill his opponent, got absolutely annihilated by the massive amount of siege tanks, and ended up losing that game. So we're going to go ahead and move on to game number 4.
Yeah, game number 4 of NASL. And Puma's in the lead 2-1 over JulyZerg.
This is PGL Milncraft.
And Two-Toed Sloth.
Signing out.